What's up, and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to do some maintenance on the bike. So we're going to work on the bike again, and I have already done a change coolant. I have changed the oil and the oil filter, and I also changed the air filter as well. The old one was very dirty, so I put a new one in, and I also will do for the video today, I'm going to change the fork oil. I'm going to change the seals as well. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's get to work. Like I said before, I did some maintenance on the bike before today's work. I changed the oil and the filter, and I changed also the coolant fluid and the air filter back there. I didn't want to make another video on the oil change since I already have one video on how to change oil on exact this one, so I didn't film that. But changing the coolant is pretty easy. You just remove this draining bolt right here, and you drain it from there. When you're done draining it, you just unscrew and remove this breathing bolt right here, and then you refill it as usual. And the air filter is pretty easy to remove as well. It's hidden somewhere behind here, as you may know. So I just remove one of the plastics and the seat to reach it. Then I simply remove the old one and replace it with a new one with some air filter oil on it, of course, before installing. Before I can start working on the forks, I need to remove them off the bike, and that means removing the handlebars and the front wheel and all that comes with it. So let's start with that. Now, before you start disassembling the forks, it's important to document the settings for the compression and rebound. This is done by counting the number of clicks you have set. Write it down. And I'll do the same thing down there for the rebound.
Just a moment. Hi, you can show me.
This has to be done before I remove the forks. Otherwise, there's no way I can grip it and loosen the top one. Always faster to be two than to be alone.
Alone?
Alone, själv.
Mm.
Det är bättre att vara två än vara själv.
Ja. Do you mean you can go?
No, I mean it's good to be two. I mean it's good that you're here. Now we can remove both of the forks from the bike.
Yeah.
One off.
One off.
One to go.
And another one.
And number two. Thanks for your help, Bijan.
You're welcome. So. Voila.
As you can see, I don't have any table to work on, have any space to work with either. I'm just making it work. What you see here is the left fork. I have drained all the oil from it, and now it's time to separate the outer from the inner tube. And to do that, I have to remove the dust seal and the retaining ring, or whatever you call it. Then I'm gonna have to like force this to get it off. Let's do that. When doing this, make sure to be careful so you don't scratch the surface of the inner tube, like that. Magic. Now it's just the process of cleaning everything and then putting it back together again. As the order is supposed to be installed on. Now that the inner tube is nicely cleaned, I will try to put back the oil and dust seal and the bushings back together, and make sure you get it in the right order. I'm going to replace dust seal and oil seal with new ones, but I'm going to reuse everything else. We need a protection for the dust and oil seal so they don't get scratched at these edges here. It's pretty sharp. I'm going to put it, flex this bag on. So I'm going to cut it. First I put on the dust seal, and I put on the stopper ring, and then the oil seal. It's important that they face the right direction, otherwise they won't be effective. Now it's time to put back the inner tube inside the outer tube. As you can see, I have all the seals and bushings back on the inner tube, and now let's try to get the two back together as they were before. Now that the cartridge is all drained, I have measured the correct amount of fork oil. I'm going to just refill it. just like that, we are done with the first one. Let's put it aside and begin with the second one. And don't forget to set back the configuration you had before you started. And do the same thing with the compression. Now, definitely done. Yep. On to the next one. Now let's move on to the second fork, the one on the bike's right side. Yeah, before we start, we need to thoroughly clean it. When that's done, you will start by emptying the air out of the chambers, starting with the balance chamber, this one here at the bottom, and moving on next to the inner chamber, which is the one here, and last the outer chamber. So I'll start by removing the caps like so, and the one down here like that, and use a screwdriver to empty the air. The inner chamber, which you can see by the symbols on it, do the same thing, and move on to the outer chamber, do the same thing there. Now we can move on to disassembling it. Next step is to remove this air cap by pressing it down and removing the stopper ring. And if it's too hard to press down by hand, you're supposed to tap it with a plastic hammer. By pressing the outer tube down, the cap should come out. In order to not get risks of damaging anybody or anything, it's good that you put something on here, because this one will, otherwise it will shoot in the air like that. Alright, the next thing to do is to remove this bolt right here. And since I don't have a vise to lock my fork in, I'm using the front wheel axle to hold it in place. And for that bolt we'll need a 32mm socket wrench, huge one. Alright, next step is to remove the sealing bolt down here, and to do that you will need a special tool. Mine looks like this, the fine blue color. I'll put that in here and hopefully it will get off. Since I don't have a vise, I'm once again going to use my wheel axle to counter force. is to separate the inner tube from the outer tube, and from here the procedure is exactly the same as the one with the other fork. It's only a matter of removing the seals, cleaning the tubes, and putting new seals, filling it with oil, and putting it back together. I don't see any reason why I should film that again, since I'll be doing the exact same thing. Yes, now the second tube is also done. The right one, the one with air chambers, it's been cleaned. I changed the seals and reassembled it, but I didn't put any air in it. I'm going to leave that to a shop here nearby and let them do that so they can pressurize it correctly. Then I'll bring it back here and mount it on the bike and put on the front wheel, and that will be it for this time. But since this video is actually about servicing the Showa forks, I think I can end the video already here, since that's been done. But before I go, I would like to take a moment to thank Bijan, my father-in-law, for helping me out with some filming the other day. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I also would like to thank my boys, Lucio, Naib, Roban, Emmett. Thank you for this wonderful gift right here. It's a toolkit, as you can see. Not any toolkit. This one is actually a 92 pieces set. Can't believe that shit. 92 pieces. Thank you a lot, and good looking out. Appreciate it for helping Handyman T here. This will come in very handy. Till next time, see you again. Peace.